Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self, and today we are talking about how to handle rejection and that being rejected is not the end. But before we jump into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me over on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you're welcome to send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you on either one of those, whichever you're most comfortable with at Instagram or email. You can send any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, anything that you would like. I would just love to hear from you and create like a bond and be friends online, and that would be super fantastic. So all the information on how to get a hold of me is in the show notes below. I also want to invite you to come sign up for the newsletter. There is a new issue, a new issue of the newsletter going out tomorrow afternoon. And that comes out every 2 weeks. And I'm just sharing like thoughts that I don't really share anywhere else on socials. Some recommendations that I think are super cool. Journal prompts, mindset things. I will talk about announcements of new things coming out. So the link to sign up to that is if you go to my website, and I'll see if I can pop it in the show notes below for you to sign up for the newsletter because that is super fun. The one other announcement I want to give you before we jump in is to stay tuned for when my 8-week coaching program, like, what was I going to say? I was going to say course. It's not a course. It's an 8-week coaching program that is all about how to become emotionally resilient. And so you'll have one-on-one sessions with me. You will have access to me to help you through and also go through multiple modules on things like personal boundaries and taking care of yourself first and all these kind of things that all lead into becoming more emotionally resilient. And it's pretty fantastic. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please go ahead and send me an email and I can put you on the list to get information to be one of the first people to know. So I already got someone that's already interested. So it's really super exciting for me because I cannot wait to actually be able to help people in a group setting and one-to-one and all of these things. So that is it for the announcements. One last thing is I apologize for my voice. It's pretty stuffy and everything because I do have a cold. So hopefully that's not super off-putting, but I definitely wanted to mention it. So let's go ahead and dive into the topic for today, which again is how to handle rejection. For the longest time, I stayed in my comfort zone because I didn't want to deal with rejection. I didn't. I knew that it was not going to be a fun experience, especially based on already going through some rejections. But I just stayed there for as long as possible so that I didn't have to face any rejection. And that lasted a good portion of my life. I would say deep into my 20s. And I would just stay comfy in the things I knew how to handle, the things where I know how things were going to turn out, the things that weren't scary at all. And, I can't say that I didn't step out here or there. It had these boosts of confidence and believing in myself, but that was definitely not a regular thing at all whatsoever. And I can remember when I auditioned for musicals in high school or when I gave presentations at school, although I felt very comfortable in those things. I think I actually felt very comfortable and confident in my ability to offer a speech or a presentation. I just knew that was a skill that I had. But generally, I would just stay away from them. I would just, nope, that's not for me. And, one of the biggest reasons for this was because I was such a perfectionist. I still kind of battle with that a little bit, but back then I was such a perfectionist. It was laid on real thick. And if I had even the smallest feeling that things weren't going to work out well or believe in my ability to accomplish whatever would be difficult, I would just oh, that's going to be a lot, I would just pass. Or just oh no, pass. And of course you have to come out with some sort of excuse and reason, not a real reason, why you don't want to do it or can't do it or too busy to do it or whatever. So it didn't seem like you were being weak about it. You're just oh no, I'm too good for that. I'm going to pass on that, right? Because perfectionism and rejection do not mix. And if you struggle with perfectionism, then you absolutely know that. But perfectionism eventually gets to be too much, right? Whoever's experienced it, especially for a long period of time, it like can start to like bubble up. And I feel like a lot of times when I was dealing with it, I felt like it was as if I was laying on the ground and there were like like rocks, like more and more rocks and boulders just being piled on top of my chest, and it became hard to breathe and hard to really function and get through life. And it came to a point where really bad things were happening for me, like really bad things. I've talked about how I was like self-harming and all these other things. So I had to get help and work really hard to let go of that behavior. And I am super transparent and vulnerable with you guys with those things that happened in my life because I want you to know that number one, you don't have to be ashamed of anything you dealt with or gone through. And number two, I want you to know that if you have gone through those similar things, that you are not alone. I'm not boasting in any means. I'm just sharing that I went through those things and I was still able to come through. So that hopefully gives you hope if you as well are dealing with something similar. So anyway, I had to get help and really work on letting go of that perfectionist behavior. And as I, have been letting go of perfectionism, even now, still like continuing letting it go, I realized that fear of rejection is just as much of a chokehold on my mindset, right? It may not feel exactly like the being buried alive feeling that perfectionism eventually gave me, but it's definitely a chokehold in its own self. And, rejection for me was not only not wanting to try like new things and it not work out, right? And that just feels embarrassing and uncomfortable, but always needing to gain other people's acceptance. Like I think I've told you guys, and I say it in jest, but I know it's there's like 110% truth that I've been a people pleaser my whole entire life. Like my whole entire life. And so I was so hell bent on having everyone's acceptance that I knew. And I would often, like when I refer to myself in high school and in middle school, I would definitely always call myself like Switzerland because I was friends with everyone. I was trying to not piss off any groups. And if there were any groups for whatever reason I couldn't get along with, I just avoided them in totality. Like it was just not even worth the pain and the struggle because I already had so many terrible things happening in my home life, which is why I found so much happiness and joy in school and any activities I did outside of school that kept me from having to be at home. But anyway, but yeah, it was not just like the fear of stepping out of my comfort zone. It was also the fear of people not accepting me. And I can't tell you how dangerous this is. Like this part of rejection is like so dangerous. And I feel like a lot of us get lured into it. And we don't even realize that that is where we live our lives because it can just wrap us up so easily. Like by needing to be accepted by everyone in your life. And I know everyone is like a generalization, but just stick with me here. By needing to be accepted by everyone in your life, you are basically handing over the keys to your emotions and being like, yeah, take me for a ride if you want. It's just like the people pleaser in us where we just like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. I just want you to like me. I just want you to accept me. I want you to see me as a positive, not a negative. I don't want to get in the way. Please, like, thou shall pass kind of thing. Like, let me go by. So yeah, rejection is a lot to take though. And we can experience rejection in so many ways, like even more than what I was just mentioning before. It could just creep up on us and some of us will find certain experiences of rejection worse than others. So maybe you're not so hell-bent on everyone accepting you, but you're more worried about being rejected by like people that you truly respect and have been working so hard to get that same respect from other people, right? So, but the key to rejection, like I feel like one of the biggest is to not allow it to crush you, but to cause you to see things in a different way. And I know that's asking a lot because it's not fun. Just like mistakes and failures, these things are not fun. They're just crucial and important and things that happen to all of us. But yeah, so you don't want to allow it to crush you. You want it to cause you to see things in a different way. See your situation, your experience, your interaction in a different way and try again. I like to think of rejection as like a challenge to not give up. And it's like a challenge accepted. Okay, I'm just going to keep going and keep on moving. It's just like a bump in the road, no big deal. That's the mindset I like to keep. Sometimes it doesn't always stick. You just gotta like reignite that passion to not let things crush you and to just keep it moving, right? And I know it's hard because no one wants to be vulnerable and put themselves out there just for everything to feel like it's going to be falling apart. That's no fun. It makes life harder. It makes our emotions bubble up and we feel uncomfortable and vulnerable and we feel like all we're doing is feeling really sad or depressed or anxious or worried or just all of these waves of emotions that we do not want to experience. But like with many things in life, if we choose to see it as a good thing, as something that will make us stronger, it's not as difficult to endure. And even today, I was talking about how we are in charge of how we see our lives. And so if we see it with like contempt and fear, then we're going to experience a lot of contempt and fear in our lives. But if we choose to see it with like joy and positivity and gratitude, we're going to get a lot more of that out of it, right? You just have to change the perspective and the lens that you are seeing your life through, and you have the power to do that. And even if you're going through some really, really, really hard crap, it doesn't mean that that gives you like a pass or an excuse to just feel like a victim and oh, woe is me about your stuff. No, it gives you an even greater push to lean more into gratitude, to realize what you still have, to learn as much as you can about what you're going through so that you can become even stronger and, be a good role model to someone else that might come up after you and go through these same things, and allow and challenge yourself to not be broken despite what you're going through, right? You do not have to cower to these things that happen to you. You got to keep it moving. So today, I want to share with you how to handle rejection in the best way, meaning like the most healthy way, the best way for you to get through it without crumbling, because that's a lot of times how I felt with rejection. It's like I am crumbling to the ground. So I only have 5 tips for you, but I believe these will be really really helpful in how to handle rejection. So let's jump into it. Number 1, accept the rejection. I'm sure this is going to feel very common for you if you listen to even like 2 or 3 of my other episodes where I'm constantly telling you to accept your emotions, accept your feelings, honor those things, accept the fact that whatever is happening is happening. Because if you stay in denial, you'll never move past it being like a bad thing, and you will create even more emotional pain for yourself. I'm not kidding. If you do not believe me, I want you to take a moment to pause and reflect back on any time in your life where you decided to live in denial longer than you probably should have, and think about all the additional emotional pain that you caused yourself because you didn't just decide to accept what's happening, okay? By not accepting what's happening, it doesn't mean that it's not happening, okay? You can't be like, wow, there's a tornado outside, and be like, nope, there's no tornado. I don't believe it. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna hurt us. Like, it probably might not hurt you or whatever. Like, I don't live where tornadoes are, guys, so I can't really speak on that. It was probably not the best example to bring up, but you know what I mean. Like, something is happening to you. You need to accept that it's happening. So for rejection, you need to accept that rejection happened. It did happen. But it doesn't mean that it needs to like be everything and anything. You just need to accept, okay, I went through that rejection. That's what happened. But also realize that in accepting that that's what happened, also realize that and give yourself props that this is proof that you are pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And the more it affects you, the more you know how much it meant to you. So number 1, you are being pushed outside your comfort zone. Good for you. You're not just trying to chill and be like off the radar and keep yourself safe and never experience anything new. But also, if this rejection like really rocked you to the core, you will realize like how much this actually meant to you, which can help you assess your priorities in life. So let's say that, you wanted to be like, you did interview for a job and you were not hired for that job. And maybe they even told you that all your accolades and everything were fantastic, freaking fantastic, and that you were a good option, but they decided to go with someone else for whatever reason or no reason known at all. And, what if that was like the job that you thought was like your dream job and the dream company and the dream team and blah, 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 and all these things that you really, really wanted. But now you feel crushed because you're like, wow, this is everything that I worked for. And now it just feels like it's all down the drain when really it's not. It's just like a bump in the road. It's just a stop in this journey of you actually accomplishing the things that you really deserve and need, that are usually bigger than what we can imagine for ourselves. But then by realizing how much this rocked you to the core compared to any other time that maybe you've been rejected in your life, you have to be like, okay, well, maybe I am over prioritizing how important it is to get a job in this specific way. Maybe I need to widen my perspective of like where I can work or what I can specialize in or what I can do or who I can work with or whatever it is, right? Give yourself a chance to be like, okay, maybe there is more that I'm not seeing, and I want to allow myself to see it. I want to reprioritize and be like, maybe it doesn't need to be as important. Maybe the reason you didn't get to work at this big job is because it was too far from your home, and God just knew that, and it's just like, nope. Let's just, and like, you knew it wasn't going to work out, but you really wanted it because it had been your dream for so long. You know what I'm saying? So accept the rejection. Don't live in denial and create more emotional pain for yourself. Pat on the back for stepping outside of your comfort zone and use it to really identify like checking your priorities in life and how important that thing you were rejected of from is to you. Number two, consider rejection as a way to reroute. So I laugh because this is like the classic reminder that rejection can be seen as a way of like protection from something you didn't need, or God was leading you in a different way, which I totally believe. And I believe that happens all of the time. Like even times when we're not even realizing that what we're getting is rejection, and we just see it as just like a nothing and like, okay, well, whatever, that didn't happen, that didn't work out. But it's actually rejection. But I laugh because it is, again, another cheesy classic, line that people say that people are annoyed by, but that are typically true. These cliche lines are typically true. Um, but I do think it's important to consider like rejection as a way to reroute, a way to take things in a different way. Again, widening your perspective, letting your mindset be flexible in like, okay, well, how can I do this differently? Or how can I be happier accomplishing this, going about it in a different way and incorporating different people, different help, different assistance, different work, like whatever it is, and being able to take the lessons that you learned from it not working out this time and move forward and take those with you. Because I talk about how mistakes and failures are some of the best learning lessons, and they give you so many things that you can take with you as long as you take them with you and keep it moving and not obsess and really continue to grieve that loss of whatever it is. You have to take the lessons and move forward. But yeah, consider rejection as a way to reroute, as a kind of like, okay, when you're driving in traffic and all of a sudden they're like, oh, here's a detour. Take the detour. Take it with gratitude that maybe it prevented you from driving straight into a mess, and take the detour and really understand that this is just the way that it needs to go, and like really lean into how it could actually turn out way better than you anticipated, and that you'll learn more along the way, right? You just gotta find the most positive route and mindset for you to take when things have to change. Number three is to remember to show yourself compassion. I feel like we all need this reminder because it can be really easy to be super mean to ourselves. And in terms of rejection, you don't want to ream yourself for all the things you may have done wrong just to crap on yourself, right? Like, it's so hard because it feels like the world is crapping on you when things don't work out the way that you had planned and hoped and wished and dreamed and worked for, right? So there is no need to go ahead and double down on that when it already feels like life is doing that. And you also don't want to launch into negative self-talk. You don't want to punish yourself more. There's no reason to do so because you did do whatever work you needed to do to get to this point. You received rejection. That sucks, but it doesn't need to stop you, right? It's okay to feel bad for a while. It's okay to really try to honor and understand the emotions that you are getting while experiencing this rejection, but there's no reason to be even more mean to yourself. Maybe you can give yourself some constructive criticism, but that would really just picking out the points that you can get better at, that can change, that maybe didn't work out the best. But that isn't telling yourself, wow, you're terrible. Wow, I can't believe you just jacked that all up. You messed it up. You're terrible. You're never going to amount to anything. Anything that's in that realm, don't do it. Avoid it. Show yourself compassion and realize that it's okay, because most successes don't come without mistakes and failures and rejections, right? You have to build up that strength to hit those accomplishments, and that requires going through all of these, I like to see as testing phases of life, and it's okay. So just try to be really nice and compassionate with yourself, because life is rough enough as it is, right? So we don't need to double down on that. Number 4, remember we only have 5, so number 4, your experiences of rejection don't define you. I was almost not going to include this because it feels like something that we all should just know, why am I telling you information that you probably already know? Well, number 1, I was like, well, maybe people don't know that, right? It's an unfair assumption for me to be like, well, people already know that. Maybe you don't, right? And number 2, reminders are never bad, as long as they're not condescending. So your experiences of rejection don't define you. If you don't know that, I want you to know it now. Just because you were rejected, even if it wasn't based on anything you did, that's the interesting thing that I didn't talk about earlier, is that in rejection, we can be rejected and it's not really even based on us. It could be, a lot of times it's based on the other person that is rejecting us, right? So maybe you weren't hired for the job, even though you're probably the most qualified person and you did the most work and you showed the most ability and work ethic and all these things, but they decided to hire this other person because they thought they were prettier, or they owed it a favor to their friend, or maybe they just felt like their personality, whether they weren't as qualified as you for the job, but they just felt like their personality was a better fit with the team, or whatever it is. Or this person didn't have a family or even a partner, and maybe you did, and it's a job where it requires a lot of traveling, and it just felt easier for them to hire the other person, rather than you, and create any sort of drama or anything in your life, having to travel all the time. A lot of times when we are rejected, it's not even based on what we're doing or who we are. It's based on them and what they see and what they decide to see and think about in their own personal considerations. So that's why it's really important for you to remember that these experiences of rejection don't define us. And honestly, nothing in your life defines you unless you allow it to. You have to allow things to define you. That's why people are always talking about how your family doesn't define you, your mistakes and failures don't define you, you deciding to make changes in your life don't define you, even your kids, your husband. These things don't define you unless you allow them to, because you can rise above bad, terrible experiences that you've had in your life. And you don't have to necessarily be lumped in with everything that you've gone through. And it kind of sounds bad to be you have to be defined by your kids or your husband. But you don't though, right? Because you're your own person. And yes, you're in their life. You're an integral person in both of their lives. And you're contributing to their lives and they are contributing to yours, but you still don't necessarily need to be defined by that. You can choose to be defined by how hard you work, or the accomplishments that you've made, or the fact that despite all the rejections that you've received, you continue to move forward. So you get to choose. So your experiences of rejection or anything else in life that didn't go well doesn't have to define you unless you allow it to. And you allow it to by giving up, by, acting like a victim, by, being in denial of it happening, all of those things. So don't do those things. and just use it as an experience to learn and grow from. Okay, number 5, and the last one I feel like I've gotten more nasally as we've gone along. I'm sorry. Number 5, lean into gratitude because all isn't lost. It's important to realize that when we have setbacks, when we have rejection, failures, mistakes, all of these things that we consider to be super uber negative in our life, that we have to realize that not all is lost. It can be difficult because some people will consider gratitude to be this kind of leaning on the side of naivete or even toxic positivity, which I think is crazy because gratitude is the easiest thing for us to practice and to find comfort in and to rely on. Because even if you are continually rejected at every job that you're applying for, you can still have so many things in your life to be grateful for. And I understand that rejection can come with a lot of other setbacks that aren't helpful. Like if you really need a job to pay your bills, to support your family, to do this, that, and the other. I get it. All of those things can be consequences of the rejection that you were not intending to experience, but you still will always have things to lean into and the lean into that you can be grateful for. Because again, all is not lost. You can always find something that can bring joy and a smile and a good memory for you and allow you to lift your spirits for a moment so that you can keep going, so you can not give up, and so you can have the emotional ability to widen your perspective and see that there are other options and other ways to get what you want and what you need. So lean into gratitude because all isn't lost. Even if it was your dream come true, that did not work out, it's still going to be okay. It's still going to be okay. Seasons of life, some are good, some are rough, some are mediocre, and some are fantastic. So I don't know which one you're in right now, but it will transition at some point, and it's going to be a good transition no matter what. So that's all 5 that I have to share with you today on how to handle rejection. Just a quick note, if you're still listening, I wanted to make sure that I titled this episode How to Handle Rejection and not How to Overcome Rejection, because if you Google anything about rejection, you'll see a lot of titles talking about how to overcome rejection. And I do not truly believe that you can overcome rejection because it's a common experience that we all have and it's normal. And it's not once you overcome it, it'll never happen again. No, rejection is always there waiting for us in some capacity, not meaning that negatively, but it's going to be there. It's going to pop in and out. It's going to do the pop in and pop out. That's a joke from Seinfeld. So if you watch Seinfeld, then you know what I'm talking about. But so we have to realize that we're not overcoming it. We're learning how to handle it. We're learning how to take it on when it comes at us and then keep it moving and then be ready for the next time, right? So anyway, just a note on that. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, with me, Sabrina. I appreciate you being here, listening, enduring my snuffly, my stuffily and nuffly voice and nose and all that stuff. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topics, suggestions, again, you can send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. Head to the bottom of the show notes and click the link to sign up for the newsletter. And that'll also give you information on my upcoming 8-week coaching program that is, I keep wanting to say course, but it's not a course, guys. It's not. Coaching program all about how to become emotionally resilient, which is one of the best skills to learn in this life that always comes swinging with struggles. But I think that's it. So thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing the show. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you like the show and you think someone else would benefit from it, I think that you could share it. I think that would be super helpful. But until next time, have a good one, and I'll see y'all next time. Thank you. Bye.